be mentioned in polite company. Nothing sounds right. Every platitude seems like an accusation, like it's someone's fault that she's gone, as though they could have done something, as though death could have been avoided. Now, Georgia. There was a chip in the polish on Georgia's left index fingernail. Shellac wasn't supposed to chip. It had looked perfect when she left the salon earlier, or else she would have had them start all over again. But somehow she had managed to spoil it. Nancy would notice, of course. She would pick her hand up on the pretense of admiring her eternity ring, and then raise her eyebrows with a smile. Nancy's own nails would be perfect, dark red, almost black lacquer, just as they always were. Annoyed, Georgia pushed her fingers into the mixture in the bowl, relishing the wrongness of her hands in the meat, pressing it together with the onions and the sage. Would anyone eat it, she wondered. Certainly not Lila. She seemed to be on a liquid diet these days. Diet Coke by day and wine by night, which increasingly meant tears, vomit, and saying things she didn't mean. Georgia had started to worry that the liquid diet might be less about Lila trying to lose imaginary baby weight, and more about what was going on in her head. They'd be here soon. She had meant to have the food finished by the time they arrived, filling the house with delectable smells. It wouldn't be done in time now, unless they were late. She shouldn't have taken the test today. It was only supposed to take 3 minutes, but inevitably the whole miserable process took longer. The waiting, washing her hands, waiting again. Calling Charlie, pretending not to hear the accusation in his tone as he hurried her off the phone, rushing from one meeting to another, squeezing her wretched disappointment in between appointments with clients. It was always the same. But she knew Nancy wouldn't be late, she never was. She was coming straight from the airport, as no flight would ever dare be delayed with Nancy on board. Everything in her life, from the neat bobbed haircut she'd worn since she was 25 to her patent shoes, was together, on time, precise. At least the kitchen looked good. Charlie had been horrified when she'd campaigned to knock half the ground floor into this huge open-plan room. But now, with the twilight streaming through the huge French windows and the table set for 6, laden with flowers and candles and crisp linen napkins, no one would be able to question her taste. Not even her friends. Georgia, the scholarship girl with second-hand school uniform and Primark school shoes, was dead and buried. The sound of a key turning in the lock distracted her. She shook the stuffing off her hands and turned to the sink, knocking the tap on with her elbow and hurriedly rubbing her hands under the tepid water. Had Charlie snuck out of work early to come home and help her get ready? She felt the corners of her mouth pulling into a smile. It could be quite sweet sometimes. "Gee, it's me." Lila's breathy voice came from the hall. "Sorry I'm early." Lila had never been early in her life. She was the latest person Georgia had ever encountered. What did this mean? Surely Lila wasn't turning over a new leaf now, when Georgia had summoned Nancy all the way from Boston to talk some sense into her. Georgia had only given Lila a set of house keys as a goodwill gesture, and because she lived a 10-minute drive away. They were meant for emergencies, not for letting herself into the house whenever she felt like it. But that message didn't seem to have got through. Nevertheless, Georgia forced a grin and opened her arms to hug Lila. "I thought you and Rue were coming at 8. Georgia had last seen Lila a few weeks ago. But she'd changed since then. Had she been ill? Her limbs had always been long.